All right, so the Logan Paul Dillon Danis saga continues, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon, and we'll probably just get even more intense leading up to the fight. But this has got to be some of the best promotion for a fight maybe ever, even though it might lead to the fight getting called off or one of them dropping out, because it's getting pretty ugly. And I mean, it's been ugly for a while now, but Dillon, he's getting sued by Nina, and he does not seem to care. I don't think anything is stopping him at this point, and this lawsuit might be making him go even harder. Like, Nina just added a new claim to the suit, alleging defamation because he suggested that she has HIV, and then a day later he goes on Twitter and posts this. So he does not give a shit, and he's going to troll Nina and Logan till the very end. And it's funny, Jake Paul recently was talking about how Dillon isn't very good at trolling because he's just exploiting a very large weak spot of Logan's, which I'm sure Logan loved hearing. I mean, that does not make things sound any better.
I don't think he's a good Twitter troll because you have a very large weak spot that he's exploiting. But when he tweets about anything other than Nina...
And even Logan admits Dillon is a good troll, but it seems like whenever people try to defend Logan or Nina, it just makes things worse. Like, I saw Candace Owens was recently on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and this was hilarious. His co-host was trying to defend Nina, and he's like, you know, I actually know her very well because she dated two of my close friends, which, of course, I mean, right away, this guy is only making things worse. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's thinking here. He's basically like, you know what, the internet, they've got it all wrong about her. She doesn't date around. I would know because she's dated two of my good friends.
I mean, the videos are...
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I think
you think he will?
I actually don't think it's as bad as I know Nina. She's from Miami. She's dated actually two of my very good buddies.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like some girl I met. Like, she dated
Two of your buddies.
Oh yeah, Reed and Patrick. One's a famous DJ. One's a big realtor.
And it just keeps getting worse here. And I don't know why he even had to bring that up. He could have just said, I know her pretty well. She's a nice girl. But then I guess people would have assumed he dated her. So I don't know. Maybe he had to do that. But he continues to try to defend her by calling her a social climber, which is definitely true. But I don't know how that's supposed to help. I mean, it's so weird. It's like he's trying to make things worse. You know, he's like, no, you guys got it all wrong. She dates my friends. She's a social climber. It's not what you think it is.
Just a sign of our times, feminism, liberalism. She's also a social climber. Like, before she dated Logan Paul, you know, she dated Leonardo DiCaprio, Adam Levine. There was allegedly some stuff with...
We all know now.
Of course. But my point is this. She's also a Sports Illustrated cover model. Mm-hmm. She's actually a good person.
So at least he threw in one nice thing at the end there. But his defense was basically just confirming everything people have been saying about her on the internet. I mean, the guy was going through the whole list of people she dated. It's crazy. He's like, this DJ I know, this real estate guy, also Adam Levine, Leonardo DiCaprio, and then there's also some alleged stuff, but then Candace interrupted him and saved him. I mean, he was just digging the hole deeper and deeper here. I don't know what he was thinking. I'm sure Nina was really happy to hear this guy call her a social climber, this guy who apparently knows her calling her that. So it's not looking good, and it's crazy how bad the timing was for Logan to announce his engagement and make it public and then have her on his podcast to talk about it. I mean, he did all that right before the Dillon Danis fight was announced, so Logan might have known about this fight already before he proposed, or even if it was after he proposed. If you're going to fight Dillon Danis, you know the guy is a professional troll, basically. So I feel like Logan should have seen something like this coming. You know, like Jake said, she's a huge weak spot for him. And I know a lot of people think Logan didn't know about her past when he proposed to her, but I would imagine he probably did some research. And he even said he's been a fan of hers and had a crush on her since he was 19, and he's been following her career ever since. And he even mentioned seeing her in relationships.
I thought this girl was the prettiest girl on the planet for a very long time.
Yeah, so
I've had a
there
crush
was
on
a
her
whole
since I was
thing.
like 19,
You
20.
like told Mac about me way before.
Wait, dude, when she had her Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
Like when I was 19, I had been loosely watching Nina as I became a bearded man. And here she is, like the hottest girl on the planet. She's in like relationships and stuff. And
So it sounds like he was well aware of her career. I mean, obviously she's a model, but also a big part of her career is dating people and saying provocative stuff on the internet and on like guy code and ridiculousness. So I'm sure Logan was aware of most of this, and all of it is public and it's really easy to find. I mean, Dillon has proven that. So I think it's kind of naive to think Logan had no idea about her history, but you know, still I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, and I'm sure he hates constantly being reminded of it. but I'm sure he knew what he was getting himself into. Like, also when she first did his podcast, which was like a week before the fight was announced, Mike brought up how there's still a lot people don't know about her, and she made this face like, oh no, and Logan's like, yeah, that's what I've been nervous about as well.
I think there's a lot of stuff people don't know about you.
Well, that's why I'm nervous. The amount of meat on this bone.
So then also during this podcast, Logan said they wanted to keep their relationship as private as possible because they didn't want it to become about content, and he didn't want it to be subjected to people on the internet. But again, if this is what he was worried about, why would you make this public, and why would you get engaged to her and then agree to fight Dillon Danis right afterwards? It makes no sense. It's basically like, you know what, let's keep things private. I don't want anybody talking about our relationship. But then once we go public, let's give the biggest troll on the internet a green light to attack us relentlessly.
We have been super intentional about being private while we were dating. And I did that because I didn't want our relationship in any way to be about or affected by content, especially knowing, because I've been a f***ing veteran in this space for so long, that when you put yourself out there online, often you are throwing yourselves to the wolves of the internet, and it can be a gnarly place. And this is the first time, because of the engagement, you've agreed to come on Impulsive.
I know. I needed that ring on my finger before going.
And it's funny, at the beginning of that, Logan makes it seem like it was all his decision to keep things private. But then at the end, he's like, for the first time, you've agreed to come on Impulsive because I know you wanted to be engaged first. And she's like, yeah, I needed the ring on my finger. So it kind of sounds like he's asked her to go on the podcast before, but she said only once we get engaged. And it definitely seems like she's the one that wanted to keep things private, because also during this podcast, before they're dating, she mentioned she was nervous to even work with him on the 99 Originals NFT project he was doing. He wanted to like film her or take pictures of her or something, and she ended up not doing it because first she said he was too cheap, but then also she was nervous to be associated with all the controversy he's been through in the past. So she's obviously always concerned about that. I mean, from day one, she was concerned about even working with him because she probably figured it'd make her a target for criticism. So I'm sure she was the one that always wanted to keep this relationship under wraps.
We got through rounds of contracts, and the day before we were supposed to shoot for 99 Originals, she canceled on me. I was pissed. Why don't you say it?
Well, you were, first of all, way too cheap. Like, your day rate was pure shit. Like, absolute nonsense. And then, obviously, you have a couple of things in your past that I did not know you personally, and it definitely, you know, I wasn't sure I wanted to be associated with that, and now you're my fiance. But that's because we've talked it all through.
And Logan's probably thinking, hey, it's not my past you need to be worried about. So I just think it's weird that this was such a big concern for them, and then they get engaged, and right afterwards he takes a fight with Dillon Danis, and Logan didn't think at all like, hey, if I take this fight with Dillon, there's a good chance he might go after my fiance that I just got engaged to, who is an easy target. So I feel like Logan had to see something like this coming, and he probably talked to her and he's like, listen, it won't be that bad. He might go after you a little bit, but in the end, you know, it's going to help sell the fight. It's good promotion. I mean, it seems like Logan is always trying to think 10 steps ahead, and everything's about promoting something or making money and getting views. Like, also, I thought this was kind of weird. When Logan was on Flagrant, he mentioned that he was going to compensate Nina for all the hate she's getting.
Nina, I got to be honest, you're handling this shit like a warrior, and I will compensate you accordingly.
That's what I'm talking about.
With my winnings.
Yes.
You know, like dog, she's never experienced like hatred in her life. All of a sudden, because she's linked to me, this is my fault. Yeah. I feel so bad, but she's strong as hell, dude.
Yeah, so if Logan took this fight without consulting with her first, then she's probably really pissed at him. But I'm sure Logan talked to her first, and maybe this is the deal they came to. Maybe she said, hey, if I'm going to take shit, I better get some money from this fight. Because at the end of the day, especially for these people, money talks. But let me know what you guys think about it all down in the comments. And then make sure you go check out my Patreon account. There's probably like 40 exclusive videos on there at this point, and I post a new video that's about 20 to 30 minutes every week. And I recently just talked about Russell Brand getting canceled, and I also just talked about Jimmy Fallon getting canceled and one of the worst podcasts ever that he just started. And then also I've talked about the time Patton Oswalt apologized for taking a picture with Dave Chappelle. That was really embarrassing. And I also talked about the downfall of Miley Yiannopoulos. And then one of my favorite videos on there that I think I've mentioned a couple times on here, you know, Michael Richards, Kramer, his infamous meltdown at the Laugh Factory. That's a good one. So make sure you go check it out. I'll put a link in the description, and then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.